Welcome to Scoop World Order, a somber September 11th edition. Quick bit of remembrance for those who lost their lives on that terrible day. A tragic day in American history, a day where a lot of heroes were made. A lot of people lost their lives that day. It was an awful day, a great day for America to unite. And I just wanted to say something real quick before we got into this episode in remembrance of those who lost their lives on 9/11. You guys will never be forgotten. That being said, we're going to get into this episode. As always, we appreciate you guys. We appreciate all you Patriots tuning in, watching this show. We're going to break down a little bit of defense. We're going to talk a little bit about what is going on in the Ohio State, in the Woody Hayes right now. It's a pretty heated film discussion yesterday at the WAC. We had a lot of sources reaching out. It was a pretty wild film day on the offensive side of the ball. Defense balled out of control. They did fantastic. We're going to break down a couple of those plays. I think the defense is playing really well. I know people say it's Youngstown State, it's Indiana, but you can only play who the schedule maker, who the athletic director schedules, and these guys are playing really well. They're flying to the ball, a lot of good effort. Jim Knowles has these guys dialed in. Really excited to see as it ramps up this week against Western Kentucky as we head into South Bend in 2 weeks. But as always, thank you guys for tuning into this. Leave a like, click subscribe, and also click that little alert bell if you enjoy our content. Comment who has been our defensive MVP through 2 games, maybe other than Tommy Eichenberg. He seems like he's the cinch right now. Denzel Burke stepping up. Our ends are actually playing really well. A lot of people are concerned about the sack numbers, but we're going to break down some of the sim pressure stuff that they're doing, where they're dropping. So they're really Jack Sawyer's, I think, playing tremendous football right now. And JT is JT. JT's an absolute animal on the edge. So I think we're going to have a lot of good stuff to show you. Nevada, as we get into the defense, again, I think that this is a year where the defense is going to have to carry the team. I think the defense, when we go to hostile environments, is going to have to shut some guys down. They're going to have to hold guys out of the end zone. Again, I've played on teams like that. The 05 team was a defensive first team, even with Troy Smith, even with Ted Ginn, even with San Antonio. We were A.J. Hawk, Dante Whitner, Schlegel, Bobby, those types of guys, Kudla, really, really good players. Do you think this is the kind of team that'll be driven by the defense first?
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt about it. I think the defense is clearly the team strength right now. And, when you watch the tape over and over again, and we have the benefit of having the tape, and we try to make the fans a little bit smarter, a little bit more educated, see things that maybe that you missed during the television broadcast, or you missed, by not watching as many times as we do. But the defense is close. The defense is close. And, there's a handful of plays you'd want to have back to do stuff, but the defense did a lot of good things, as they should, against the overmatched Youngstown State team. But the defense did some interesting things. They're showing some different things. They're working on some stuff that you want to be able to put on tape, show to different to teams that your future opponents to have to make preparations for it and spend some time preparing. But Ohio State did a lot of interesting things. They're clearly doing this spill technique where they're trying to pressure from inside out. That's become obvious. And with the defensive ends are being asked, much to their chagrin, to be a little bit more disciplined. I mean, one of the problems last year with Mike Hall and with Ty Leak and with the guys on the front four was our gap discipline. And when you have a lack of discipline, what ends up happening is big plays. And what you've seen so far this year has been a noticeable decline in big plays. Now, only 2 games, only Indiana Youngstown State. I get it, understand. But it's got to start somewhere. You've got to start in terms of stopping plays against teams like that. And then it's like, we're not even giving up many over 10-yard plays. I think we gave up 4 plays over 8 yards on Saturday. So it's like we're doing a good job with that. But they're asking the defensive ends to do some different things that you might have missed the first time around. And it's kind of fun when you kind of look at it and you kind of go, oh, that's interesting. I didn't really notice that the first time around. And, you're not getting it from the broadcasters because the broadcasters aren't telling you about it either. So, I think the defense is a lot closer than people think. And I'm very bullish on the OSU defense. Have some questions about the OSU offense, but I'm optimistic, but very, very bullish on the defense.
All right, so we're going to get right into this right now. So we have they call this a simulated pressure. This is you give a look like you're going to go double A gap, which this is a cover 0 look. Where generally you're zeroed up across the board. Everyone is man. But when you do it with the simulated pressure is a defense that's really in vogue right now. Georgia kind of started doing it. And it's basically, it gives the look that you're bringing six, which would be a cover zero, which means that, there's 11 guys on the football field. When you bring six, that means that you're taking up the 5 offensive linemen and the quarterback, and then everybody else across the board is man to man. So it's a very, very aggressive call. It's something that you do to heat up. We have special rules in offensive line protection at Ohio State to deal with that. And our receivers have special rules where they break off those routes fast because the ball's got to come out fast because there's going to be a free rusher. If you're bringing six, I mean, there's going to be a free guy somewhere unless you bring in a receiver. If you're in 5 wide or if you have a back in protection, so you got to get rid of the ball fast. Generally, if there's a back in, the guy who's in coverage on the back is going to add to the pressure. So it's going to be 6 or 7 man pressure. So with the simulated pressure, this is really interesting. So it gives the look where these guys have to treat this like all 6 of these guys are coming across the board. Obviously, you have a back, you got a deep safety. Kind of gives it away that it's not going to be, and it's going to be a sim. So what you do here is instead of bringing these guys, they take a step like they're rushing. You see JT Tumala, and then they both drop back into this little hole right here. And they can do it, they're playing zone coverage, obviously, but they can also spy the quarterback from that position. And in the middle, this is what's really difficult. So these guys have to set vertically, back, back, back. But then you have Steele and Tommy do this little pick technique, this is really hard if you're a center and this guard and tackle are going to get eaten up by these two. So this tackle, to switch this and bump this is extremely difficult. So on the fly, you're expecting to get a pass rush from JT. So as soon as he steps back, you have to push him into here. And by that time, Steele Chambers is already picking the center. See, this is why Steele and Tommy are just absolutely playing phenomenal football. Steele, when you run these things, one guy's usually the guy that dives on the grenade. He's the guy that sacrifices. And then the other guy is the free hitter. Here, the Tommy's the free hitter. So you see Steele come in here and wedge between the center and pick him. And you see our defensive tackle come up here and absorb the guard. And you see Tommy wrap right through here. And again, the beauty of A-gap pressure is this little running back has to step in and take on Tommy Eichenberg, who has a 5-yard head start and weighs 235 pounds and runs a 4.6 and is going to kill you. So they teach these guys don't cut block because if you cut block this guy, he's going to go flying into the quarterback's ACL. But you see Steele, Steele kind of makes all this here. These guys are sacrificing. Jack and JT are sacrificing here and dropping into zone coverage. So they don't get a sack. They don't get a chance to pass rush. Everybody wants to pass rush on 3rd and long. They're being team players and playing team defense and dropping into the zone. But you see this pick, and you see Tommy, and look at the pressure we get right away. The quarterback has to run for his life. Our 2 edge rush D tackles, you got Mike Hall. I don't know if that's Caden. That might be Caden. So you got Caden at D tackle too, who's like a defensive end. So it's like you have 2 speedy D tackles, rushing contain, a lot of pressure, bad throw. Again, that is the stuff that I think people don't see. I know people like to whip Jack and JT to death because the sack totals aren't there, but I watched the film and they're getting rid of the ball really fast. I had a comment from somebody in the Woody Hayes who literally said it's almost like if they didn't even have an offensive line and they snapped the ball to the quarterback, our guys couldn't get there fast enough because the ball has gone literally in about 1.5 seconds. So it's really hard to get home. They were catching it and tossing it. So, in the NFL where, guys have these gaudy sack totals, you see these quarterbacks go through read progressions or it's like 3, 4, 5 seconds. And by that time, guys are getting home. Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, the guys you watch on Sunday that gets 3 and 4 sacks. It's not as simple as what these guys are doing. And these guys know, when you're playing some of these teams going into playing Ohio State, their tackles can't hold up against these guys. So they got to get rid of the ball quick. But Nevada, you saw that play. Again, I love that stuff because when I see stuff like that, I go back to my days as a player. Obviously, I played for 5 years, played in the league. Then as a coach, trying to scheme that up, how to pass, protect that and pass that off in pass pro, that's really hard. And that's why I really like that. I love that sim pressure stuff that we're doing. Because Tommy and Steele are really good at it. They've got a lot of cohesion there. And it's really hard to pass off. But what are your thoughts when you see that kind of stuff?
Well, look, it's the whole chess game of trying to vary your looks against offenses today. And out of that 6-man front, you're dropping Jack and JT into the slots because what you're expecting Indiana to do is to run those slants. Call that hot route, run those slants. and if the quarterback gets the ball, is reading six-man blitz, turns and throws it into on a slant to the outside guy, JT or Jack is standing right there to make a pick and probably a pick six if they do that. But instead, you're dropping it back. You're bringing the pressure for the inside. From that, Ohio State can rush six. They can rush four on one side and drop two on the other side. They can do that from the other side. They can drop the two guys off the inside, off the double A gap blitz, and put them back in more of a standard position. So you've just got a lot of flexibility. But you got to look at the whole defense and look at the whole, the totality of what these guys are being asked to do, because they're being asked to do a lot of things that aren't just necessarily rush the passer. And, I think for defensive ends, it's a little frustrating sometimes because, they want to bend around the corner. They want to spin. They want to stunt. They want to twist and get to the quarterback and get that sack because, in today's age, that is, literally the metric by which we're rating defensive end play. But for great defenses, it's not just about the sacks. It's about team defense and playing within a team concept. And Jack and JT are doing a good job of that. Are they perfect? Far from it. Far from it. Can they be better? Absolutely. They need to be better. But I think that they've been a lot better than people think. And I think there's a lot of stuff going on with the defense where Knowles is trying to unwrap something. And we accept it on the offensive side all the time. We talk about Ryan Day's holding stuff for the future, and we're trying to only show so much, and we're going to save it for team X or Y or Z. Well, the same thing's true on the defense. You don't run everything that you want to show teams the first 2 weeks against Youngstown State. So they're showing some things, they're not showing some things, and they're asking these guys to, again, let's show that you could be disciplined. Let's display that you understand your techniques. Because look, on the first touchdown, Sonny Styles came flat down the line, gave up the outside contain, and the guy walks in and does the little penguin in the end zone right there. And is that a blow on Sonny Styles? No. I mean, Sonny Styles is a great player, going to be a great player, terrific kid. But like, when you don't do your job and you try to freelance, what ends up, bad things happen. And I think Knowles has got to teach all these guys, and it's lessons that they've got to learn over and over again. But I think the defense is close, really close. And I think they'll take another step. This week against Western Kentucky is a big test. When I saw the line, when I saw 26, I couldn't believe it's a 26-point line. Because I think Western Kentucky is a good team, and they can throw the ball. And I think it's the perfect opponent that you want going into to Notre Dame the following week, because it's not a cream puff. It's not a cakewalk. It's a team that's going to really test your defense, and we're going to see how far we've come. But Western Kentucky is going to move the ball. We're going to have to get after it to stop them, and this is going to be a fun one, so I'm looking forward to it.
No, I totally agree. I think that, the defense, we've got guys that can get after the quarterback. Mike Hall's been playing great. I think that we're providing a lot of pressure. We're showing a lot of looks. Again, I think that the most important thing when you're in the preseason is, when you're leading into that matchup, the game, the Notre Dame game, you got to get a lot of stuff on film. You got to get a lot of stuff that, frankly, Notre Dame's offensive coordinator and offensive line coach are going to have to rep. So this is something Ohio State did against Youngstown State. This is something they did against Western Kentucky. I'd throw a million different blitzes on film over the next week and just say, hey, these are all the things they're going to have to rep. These are the things they have to worry about. Like, the sim pressures are just like absolute pain to deal with when they're run well. If they're not run well and your ends aren't athletic enough to drop, I don't think that they're much of an issue at all. But like, when you got guys run that pick in the middle with Steele and Tommy, your center has got to be on point, man. Because I'm telling you, he's going to get picked. They're going to go after his snap hand. And again, I think it's genius. I see how smart these and sophisticated these defenses are going, and I'm like, I wouldn't want to go against that. I mean, it takes a lot of work to switch that off, especially when you're playing guys that are the level of Ohio State's guys. You're playing, you got Mike Hall. If you're a guard and you've got Mike Hall on your outside shoulder, and then you've got Steele walking up, and then you got Tommy looping in, you're just scared to death about blocking Mike Hall, let alone passing the game off and switching it. And then, Mike Hall goes to the tackle, and then you got to push Steele down into Tommy. I mean, and it all happens with crowd noise and in like the snap of your fingers. So, I mean, it's not, again, it's easy for me to sit here and draw it with my little pen, but it's a lot harder to actually do it in real life physically. And again, I love a lot of the stuff we're doing on defense. I think it's good. I think that the biggest thing is that our coverage is so tight, between Denzel, Jordan Hancock, and Davison. I mean, it makes it a lot easier to do this stuff because we got guys that are really playing well in the back end. Denzel's playing as good as he's played at Ohio State. He's got a lot of momentum, which is great. level up, big jump this week. Player of the game. Again, it's great to see these guys getting that momentum. Nevada, who else do you want to see step up, and who are some of the guys that through 2 games are your standouts outside of Tommy? Because I think Tommy's playing as good as anybody in the country right now.
Well, I think Tyleek. I mean, Tyleek came in. I mean, there was some talk that he was kind of at a crossroads there through the fall camp. He'd been nicked up a lot. The other guys have been playing ahead of him. And I mean, I think there was some legitimate question marks about what direction his career was going to go in. And I think he's just been fantastic. I think he's been fantastic. Again, with all the necessary disclaimers, I understand it's Indiana. I understand it's Youngstown State. But I think Tyleek is becoming the player that we all wanted him to become right before our eyes, and that's really really exciting to me. And you mentioned Jordan Hancock before. Having a third cover corner like that is such a luxury, and we're not hearing his name much, which is a function of the fact that he's just locking his guys down. Actually, Davidson's probably been the loosest of all the 3 guys in terms of it, and he's kind of a wild horse out there running around trying to deliver big shots and making the coverage. But our coverage is much better. That's not to say we're not going to give up a touchdown this year. That's not to say we won't give up some yards passing. In 2023, no one's going to be the 85 Bears and just completely shut teams down. But this is a good defense. This is a good defense right now. It's the top 5 defense in the country statistically by just about every metric. Need to get the other team off the field a little bit quicker in third down. But other than that, there's really not too much to be unhappy with about the defense. And I think Ohio State's at a really good spot, coming into a nice test against Western Kentucky. So I think we'll see more and more of the stuff. But when you're watching the game, watch the defensive ends and watch what they're asked to do, because it's not always rush the passer. And that I found, like I said, that was the most interesting thing to me in my film review, was the multiple things that we're asking these defensive linemen to do that don't necessarily mean rush and go get the quarterback.
I think that I'm going to show another play. We run a drop 8 here. We've got the 5 guys up. These guys are both going to bail out, in their coverage. You got Caden here, Mike Hall. You see J2 do his little spin move here. And again, this is a 3-man pressure. And the clock, if you look at the clock here, you're at 14-11. So by the time the ball's thrown, 11, 10, 9, 8. So, I mean, it's like 2.45 seconds. So, again, Caden Curry has a great jump. He beats the tackle around the edge, and he's almost there. And, and the ball's already gone. So, I mean, this is not like the NFL or the Steelers. Have Cody Pickett hold the ball for 8 seconds and he gets sacked, or Joe Burrow hold the... I mean, these guys are getting rid of the ball quick. And JT, he hits the spin, but, Mike can wrap here. Caden's here. That's 3 guys. Now, I know it's the Penguins. I know whatever. But, they're on scholarship. They're 310 pounds, too. And again, it's not Alabama. I get it. But, that's a 3-man rush. And, look at the pressure we have on this kid. And he airmails it. He throws it to the trainer, the Youngstown State trainer or whatever. So, I think that there's things that are there. Again, if you just go back and watch Youngstown State game, they're getting rid of the ball fast. And I'm not some apologist or whatever you guys want to think this is, but it's just watch the film. Dude, unless you're Usain Bolt and you're unblocked, you're not going to get to these guys when they're getting rid of it in about 2.2 seconds. And again, we had great pressure there. Mike Hall was right there too, along with Caden. If he holds out for one more second, Caden probably gets a sack fumble. I think Caden's coming on. I still think, Jack actually played a great game. I was watching the first drive. He had 3 or 4 tackles, in the first drive. JT is a beast. Again, I just think people are so obsessed with sacks and sack chasing in that regard. And again, and I get it. Again, you watch Texas. They're getting around the big fat DNs. And, honestly, I would kill to play Alabama right now. I'd give anything to play Caden Proctor and JC Latham, those big fat tackles, because I think we'd whip those guys with JT and Jack. I think those guys would run right past Caden Proctor, because Caden Proctor's terrible. And he was the greatest player of all time coming out of high school last year. And he started as a left tackle, true freshman. And he's terrible. And he was a 5-star, and the whole world revolved around him. And, dude, I watched him. The guys from Texas ran around him. He gave up literally 3 sacks in one game, and I don't know. Nevada, as we get into Western Kentucky this week, what do you want to see from the team as we evolve and just keep improving offensively, defensively? Like I said, it's a pretty spicy film session for the O line on Sunday. What I hear, it was a very spicy film session. What do you want to see in terms of improvement on offense?
Well, one thing I'll just say is, yeah, the more heated these film room discussions get, and the more angry the coaches get at the players, the better our sources get, because that's what everybody wants to talk is when stuff like that happens. So for us, this is great. This is like a feeding frenzy. But no, for Ohio State, look, just take another step. I mean, we need to see another step in the quarterback play. We need to see McCord and Brown both play better than they played the week before. We need to see the offensive line play better than the week before. I just want to see improvement, just
Mm-hmm.
improvement. It doesn't need to be perfection, just improvement. And I think we did that from week 1 to week 2. Now let's see it from week 2 to week 3. Let's put some stuff on tape, and let's I'm going to speak it out to blow it out of existence, but let's avoid the injury bug. Let's just keep on going in terms of doing that. And I think if we could do those things, then that's going to position us well going into South Bend, because I like that we've got a road game under our belt, albeit at Indiana, not the same type of environment as playing at South Bend, but it was a road game. We've had seasons where we started out with 3 home games, 4 home games, and then first time you got to go on the road, it can be kind of a cluster. I'm glad that we've kind of got all that out of our system in terms of just the differences in how you approach a road game than a home game, and when do you get up, and when do you go to bed, and where do you eat, and what's the walkthrough like, and things like that. We've got that out of our system, and I think that'll play big dividends for us going into South Bend. And but that's what I want to see. I just want to see. I think we'll see a much more aggressive running attack this week. I don't think Western Kentucky can stop the run, and I think with our guys, I think we should be able to move the ball at will against them. But we'll see. Got to go out and do it. Just improve, take another step, stay healthy. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll run all over these guys. We better. I mean, they played some team that was like that I've never heard of week 2, and they ran for about a buck 50 on them. So if we can't run for more than some team that I thought it was like Bishop Sycamore or something, the team they played, they beat South Florida though week 1. I mean, South Florida obviously not anywhere near what they used to be in like '07, but still that's a name brand school. They beat them, so it's gonna be really interesting. These teams are always jazzed up to come into the shoe and make an NFL name for themselves. So I think it's going to be exciting to see what these guys can do. Well, I'm going to wrap this thing up. Again, we are leading right into Monday Night Football. Aaron Rodgers' 9/11 game is going to be on tonight. So as always, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you all for your kind feedback, your comments. Again, we love breaking this tape down, kind of showing you what's going on. Because again, we always get questions. Why don't we get sacks? What's going on with the defense? What's going on with the offense? What's up with the O-line? What's up with the running game? What's up with Marvin? What's up with whatever? Leave those questions down in the comments, because you guys always give me good ideas for content and what you guys want to see. Because again, we are for you. We are here to help you understand the game better, teach you guys the game. You guys have questions, we have answers, we can help figure this out together. So we appreciate you guys so much for everything that you guys do. Again, we're on BuckeyeScoop.com all the time. If you guys have not joined at BuckeyeScoop.com, it is the friendliest message board in the Buckeye sphere. It's very well moderated. We have a great group of people on there, and it is incredibly active. Oh my God, it was crazy after the game, all day Sunday, all day today. So if you want the best experience for Ohio State sports, please join BuckeyeScoop.com, because it is an absolute riot on there. It's a blast. And you'd be stunned at the quality of the people. Big time Ohio State people are members of that site. I saw a bunch of them at a pregame tailgate right in the parking lot outside of the stadium. So appreciate all you guys joining BuckeyeScoop.com. So thank you all. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. If you enjoyed this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, and also click that little dinner bell so you get alert every time we come on. So thank you guys. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. Thank you, Scoop family. Best part about being 2-0 is chance to go 3-0. And we get to go play Western Kentucky on Saturday in the shoe. So appreciate you guys. And I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Go Bucks.